Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another video. Let's try to pay attention to the clock because it's a regular work day, so I want to keep my routine. But I did want to come on here talk a little bit about the Lakers situation because it's a lot, and I didn't get a chance to speak to you guys yesterday because yesterday was busy. But Anthony Davis is hurt again. That's why my tone is as it is, because he hurt his groin on some type of play. I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch the game, obviously, because I was at work busy. But I did see the highlights, and yeah, he fell kind of awkwardly after a play where he was in the air. And listen, he hasn't had a chance. I was listening to Stephen A. Smith and Charles Barkley, and I had to agree with both of them. AD is going to be the difference maker for the Lakers in this series, as I said throughout the beginning of the series, throughout the beginning of the process. Of making videos in regards to the series, and it's played out that way. I've been saying it really all since AD initially got hurt. Like, everything that the Lakers do, every bit of success that we have is going to be based on us, whether or not we can stay healthy. But if we can't get healthy or stay healthy, there will be no championship here. I don't know what round we're going to get knocked off in, but at some point we're going to run into somebody who's going to beat us because we're just not going to have our horses. I was hoping that wouldn't be Phoenix, and to a point, I don't think it will be. But without Anthony Davis, it doesn't look good for the Lakers. Excuse me, for the Lakers in this series. So, sorry about that. At this point, I look at the Lakers and I say, well, y'all got to play Trez, man. Y'all got to play Trez. I look down there and I don't know if he's hobbled. He shouldn't be. He hasn't been out there. He didn't hardly have any minutes in game 4. I understand that we're trying to get Marc Gasol back into things. Andre Drummond is a big part of what we do, even though it's not really working, to be completely honest with you. He's looked better. He certainly looked better in game 3. The schemes that we have going up against the Phoenix Suns are just not necessarily working right now, due to AD's absence now. And LeBron James is going to have to score the ball, a lot more than he has. We're going to have to get a lot more out of others. Don't forget the KCP is not out there. He was hobbled in this last game, so that's another piece that we need to get back and healthy. But, as Chuck said, our conditioning as a team is just not good enough to beat the best teams in the league right now on a consistent basis. We constantly had players, and a lot of teams have, going in and out of their lineup. And because of it, guys can't get a rhythm. Guys can't ever get in real shape. Guys can't ever really heal from injuries. And as a result of that, you're just seeing guys try to get out there, do too much, and are getting injured, re-injured because of it. And that's what we're seeing with Anthony Davis. He just, we already understand that he's always had issues staying healthy, and issues with collisions and falls and things like that make him come out of the game and things like that. So it's like he has a reputation for that, and now we're seeing the worst of it. Unfortunately, it's just like every other week is something, and a lot of that is outside of his control, of course. We just got to live with that, and we've seen that with players, but a lot of times it comes from players just not allowing themselves to heal from injuries, and the organizations placing pressure on these players via the contract, of course, that they've signed, to get out there and lead their teams because they're stars. So, I respected Tim Duncan way back in the day when he had his knee injury and refused to come back, even though the team was initially saying he should and things like that. He did it way before Kawhi did. And it was smart because he knew what his career was about. He knew what was on the line, and he was listening to his doctors, and he was paying attention to himself and his body. And ultimately, that's what I would tell AD to do as well. You have a long career ahead of you. And it is what it is. You gotta just do what's best for you. If that means you sit for the rest of this series, you have to do it. You know what I mean? I'm not one of those people that's gonna be too pleased if that's the case, because he is a star, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But that's because my mind is conditioned to believe that they're supposed to play through this. But the reality is, I'm thinking outside of that and realizing, you have to be smart. You're a superstar in this league. You want to make the Hall of Fame. You want to be one of the great players in this league. You're never going to be able to do that if you're always hobbling, if you're always trying to fight back from injury, if you're always in a space where you have to come in and out of lineup. So I would not be somebody to know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist, so I don't know what needs to be done. But maybe some things need to change. You know what I mean? Maybe some things, and maybe it's in the diet, maybe in your workout routine, the stretching routine. Maybe you need to fire your trainers and do something new. I don't know. But at this point, the Los Angeles Lakers need to um, just consider what it's going to take to keep AD healthy throughout the duration of his contract. Um, he's too great of a player to even consider letting go of, if for any reason at all. But what you don't want to have happen is for him to start becoming such an injury-prone player to that his talent level starts to diminish because of that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you got AD right now, but he get a couple more this or that injuries, and suddenly he's half of himself, and you got him for full price. So those are the type of things that an organization has to think about. And even if a guy's one of the top players ever, you don't want damaged goods because you'll never be able to get value for it. And the importance of getting value for it is dire because of how much of the cap that player takes up. So this can be a problem for any team with any player that is a superstar, to be honest, not just an Anthony Davis thing. But at the end of the day, I'm happy to have Anthony Davis. I don't want to trade him. I don't want to consider what life is like without him. Clearly, we are not a better franchise without him because we have a championship with him. So that right there tells me all I need to know. I want him. I want him to get healthy, even if it means we lose this series, and it doesn't. We don't get a championship this year, honestly, because we need to think about the next 3 years of his contract as well. And if he goes all out, and let's say he stays in these playoffs, stays hurt, plays hurt, we win the championship, and then comes back and find out he needs surgery in the offseason, then we're looking at a situation where he doesn't come back to maybe January. That's bad. Now we're in the same position we're in this year. No, thank you. We just have to cut our losses somewhere. And as I said at the beginning of this situation, one of the scenarios that I've been thinking about is that we're not going to beat the Nets. That's a scenario that I don't like, but it looks bad. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody knocks the Nets off, but if we're not healthy, we're not beating anybody. So it is what it is, man. There are players on this team that have to play better, and there are things that goes on this coaching staff that needs to improve as well. There are certain players that are just not playing in this series that I think can help us. Maybe some guys that are not being put in positions to do what it is that they're best at during this series because we're too busy reacting to these injuries, too busy reacting to what the Phoenix Suns are doing, which they're playing great. So I don't want to take nothing from them either. They're doing things to us. But and CP3 coming back is a big thing. It's a big deal. So, they've dealt with their best player being out. Now we're dealing with our second best player being out, kind of dealing with the same circumstances at the same time, both of these two teams. And, even though I'm kind of hitting the panic button in one side of my mouth, basically speaking out of two sides of my mouth. On one side of my mouth, I'm speaking panic because of AD's injury. On the other hand, I'm thinking if AD only misses one game and he comes back, this is still kind of on par with my prediction of how this series will go. I still think Ayton, even though through 3 games Ayton has played great, I'm still paying attention to Ayton because he's still taking on a hefty load inside, and there's still a lot of basketball left to play. But he's exceeded my expectations. His conditioning is fantastic. We can clearly see that he's capable of taking on much more of a load than I anticipated when I started talking about this. So, hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he doesn't wear down at all, but most bigs do. Most bigs do over a playoff series where they have to bang up against other bigs that are formidable. And we have them, but we have to continue to use them. I know we want to stretch the floor, but Marc Gasol kind of takes away from that because he's not really as physical as he used to be. So, all in all, it's still a lot to consider. It's a tied-up series. We have a whole other 2 games to play, no matter what. And LeBron James is saying the right things. He's essentially saying his shoulders are big enough for this to go. Win, lose, or draw, I'm ready for the challenge. So at this point, it's like, all right, that's what we need from you. We need old LeBron. We need Cleveland LeBron. Go hard with the scoring. Because right now, you got to pretend like you got a young Jordan Clarkson, Jay Crowder, and all those players that you had on that team that wasn't as good as you would like it to be. You know what I mean? That Cleveland team, that's how you have to play. in order to get this team out of this round. Because quite frankly, without Anthony Davis, we're just not structured to be a cohesive basketball team. We've already seen that enough. We need both stars in order to be ourselves. So if we don't have that, then we need superhuman LeBron in order to win games. So that's what's required at this point. He's going to have to do it. And at 36 years of age, that's a lot. And so the sick thing about it is what the Lakers are built upon is defense. And that defense is kind of anchored by Anthony Davis. So it's like offense isn't really a problem, to be honest. So we'll see. Our team is built a certain way, and we just don't have what we need. We haven't had what we needed all year. So I can imagine that Rob Pelinka has a few things that he'd like to do to this roster. I'm just mentally preparing myself for that right now. There are some players on this team that won't be here next year. And I'm thinking about a few of them, who are just maybe not out there, who maybe a little long in the tooth, players are a little older. I can totally see, especially if we get knocked off in the first round, we're going to have a fleet of role players that are gone next season. Like, I'm telling you, a guy like Kyle Kuzma, I'd be very surprised if the Lakers don't trade him, man. I'm just going to be honest with you. This is not working out. It's not working out, man. Kyle, we like Kyle. We know he has upside. But I can't shake the feeling that the Lakers kept the worst kid. Like, God, all the kids that the Lakers kept, he's panned out to be the worst one. And I know that is kind of based on the circumstances in a way, because he hasn't been empowered to do what he does best. He's not in a system that makes him look the best. And I've said this a million times, and I still believe this to the second. He needs somebody like Lonzo Ball. He needs Lonzo Ball. I've been saying that. The only time he's ever looked like his best self, in my opinion, is when Lonzo was on the floor, man. And it's been like that the whole time. So I don't know. Maybe one day they can be reunited. And I tell you, I think the best Kuzma will be right there to meet him. But on this roster and these circumstances, man, he has been very, very, very disappointing in this series. And he has not been the only one, but he's been the most glaring one because of the circumstances. And I'd imagine that pressure sucks, by the way. But it is what it is, man. We just needed more out of this young champion, dude. He just has not met us with that intensity that we need him to give us offensively. And on the boards, for that matter. He's been so good on the boards all year. Where is all that, man? Where is that right now? So, yeah. Play Trez, coach. Play him. Right now, what the Lakers need is an infusion of energy. They need energy to come from somewhere that they're not getting it. They need someone to do something that they're not getting done right now. And then I look at Trez, he's not on the floor. This is somebody who can just repeatedly dunk the ball, repeatedly rebound the ball, repeatedly throw his body weight around, and hit free throws when fouled, for which he will draw. He is not the player that we have him playing his role right now. He's not that guy. I know that he's undersized. I know we have issues with him defensively. And we are a defensive team, as I said. We're catalysts. Our success is based on defense. I get that. I've said that. But you need him right now. Simple as that. Simple as that. It's a home game. Game 4 of the playoffs. It's an intense game. We're undermanned at the 4 spot. Play Montrezl Harrell 30-plus minutes. Give him the ball. Give him an opportunity. Let this be a whole Trez game. Because whatever their game plan is, it's working. We're doing things. And even in the first game of this series, I said it. The schemes that Monty Williams is putting up, the video footage that he's watching, is A1. He and Chris Paul and their coaching staff, they know what they're doing as it pertains to this team. So you got to throw a monkey wrench in there. And no one's expecting something like that. It's a pivotal game for, you would expect the team to run your traditional stuff, but we don't have that opportunity because possibly AD will be out. I think we should play Trez, and if he's hot, if he gets off to a good early start, and you feed him early and he's getting off, and you keep that going, and you let him be the catalyst for what we do in Game 4, and I promise you, we catch him off guard and we'll win that game. I really believe that. because what he's gonna do is create opportunities to muck up the game. He's gonna make it nasty. I want to see more Markieff Morris too. Make it nasty. That's somebody who used to play for this team. That's for the Phoenix Suns. You know, he has some skin in the game. Get him out there. Let him push some people around. Let him get under some people's skin. This is the type of stuff we need to do. We need to muck the game up, get back to physicality, get back to pushing people around, get back to having people mad at us. Make Devin Booker mad at you. Make Chris Paul mad at you. You know, both of them dudes got short fuses. It's time to press them buttons. This is the type of stuff that happens in the playoffs. You know what I mean? You don't pay fair in the playoffs, especially when you feel like you got your back against the wall and you're wounded. You got to come out scratching, clawing, and shooting. And that's exactly what the Lakers need to do. So, you know, I know what it's going to take to win this series. I've seen series like this before. You got to muck it up. And once we do that, we have the edge. Why? Because we have LeBron James. He's a boogeyman, and he brings out the insecurity in everybody. So that's what we need to do. Muck it up, man. Get Trez out there. Get Keith out there. Get our dogs out there. Get the guys who want to push people around, get them out there. Because that's what we need right now. But anyway, yeah. That's what I got to say, man. It's going to be an interesting game 4. It's going to be spirited. I'm telling you right now, especially if AD ain't out there, this ain't going to be no blowout. The Lakers are coming to play. Guys like Caruso, guys like Wesley Matthews, they're going to be ready for this one. I promise you. I can feel it already because they know they're undermanned and they're hearing the talk about people saying the Lakers are counted out without AD. It's a disrespect that LeBron James has to absorb to think that he's been carrying teams that basically were undermanned throughout the Eastern Conference to the finals for year after year after year, and now Anthony Davis ain't here, and all of a sudden he can't do it against a team that he's favored to beat most years. If this were to be a different scenario without Anthony Davis, he'd be favored to beat this team. To be completely honest with you, listen, LeBron James should take this personally, and if he ain't, his teammates should take it personally for him. So, and once again, it's a home game. Yeah, the Lakers gonna have to come out and make it ugly, and I'm looking forward to them doing that. I'll be very disappointed if this is not the approach, because as a fan, that's exactly my approach. Make it ugly. Anyway, my name is BDF44. Thank you guys for watching. I'm out.